Hello guys, just got done watching 2009's The Collector. Yep, seen this movie twice before, once in the cinema and once on Blue Whistle. So, this film is one of those films which you can really enjoy if you don't think of the believability of what's happening. Like the traps, for instance. If you take into consideration that they couldn't actually been placed there, it would have took hours upon hours to happen, and all that other stuff. Then, if you can't do that, don't watch the movie because otherwise you're gonna be sitting there going, "How did he get all these bear traps in there? How did he carry all this heavy stuff? How did he figure out how to wire all these traps?" And what happens then is you end up not enjoying the movie. Like a lot of people have been pointing out about the traps. And to be honest with you, I find with horror movies you can't just take everything literally. And believability is one of the biggest things that most people in horror don't really care about because Michael Myers still being alive, it's not believable. Freddy Krueger still being alive. I've been pulled out in the dreams world twice and killed, or three times. Nope. You get what I'm saying? So, if you take out believability, you'll enjoy it more. So basically, the film stars William Prowl, Diane Aya Goldner, Juan Fernandez as the collector, and he's really good and very creepy. Just wanted to put that in there. Josh Stewart as Arkin, Michael Rayleigh Burke, Andrea Roth, Carly Scott Collins, Madeline Zimmer, who was also in Californication, Haley Pilos, Danielle Alonso, who I think she was in. That's right, she was in The Hills of Eyes 2 and she was in Wrong Turn 2. And was she also in. Let's have a quick butcher. Yeah, she was also in One Tree Hill. So that's quite a good. So basically, the film starts out and Arkin's a handyman and he's working for the Chase family and sorting their place out with some other workmen. And he's quite a nice bloke, Arkin. You think, oh, this guy's a decent fella. He's got a lot going on for himself. He seems nice. Jill Chase, played by Madeline Zimmer, hits on him a little bit. She goes, "Give me a little bit of that bag smoke." And you're like, yeah. So the movie gets going, and basically he talks to his family, who are Lisa and their child, and their child. And basically, I don't know if it's Arkin or them, I can't remember, but they owe money to this real bad loan shark bloke. So he says in this house where he was working, they've got this big, big rock which is worth a fortune, like a gem kind of rock. And he goes, "Oh no, I don't want you to do it." And he goes, "I want to do it. I need to do it because he needs to pay the money back. Otherwise his family's in trouble. I'm guessing they're going to die." So he eventually agrees to it, 60-40, 40 to Arkin, 60 to him. So I'm guessing then he'll have to. So he decides to break in the house when they've all gone out. And what gets me is right at the very beginning, this wife and her husband, they go home to this different home, and basically this bloke grabs hold of them and he's got black gloves on. He grabs hold of the bloke like that, and then you go to Arkin. So Arkin goes in the home. Now it's all quiet on the eastern front. It's not bad at all. Trying to get there, but he keeps hearing creaking noises. And then basically it ends up a very cat and mouse game between him and the collector. Now the collector wears a mask. This is the back of it. Let's see if I can get the. There you go. That's what it looks like a little bit, like that. It's hard to explain. It reminds me slightly of a gimp mask, but not a gimp mask because it ties up at the back. And it's got these two eye holes where his eyes actually light up at some points of the movie. And basically, the collector doesn't know that someone's in there, but he keeps hearing things. And he keeps thinking that there is somebody, but Arkin and him never clash through the first half of the movie. So Arkin's going through all these places, he finds all these people within boxes, in rooms, finds the mum, Michael Chase and Victoria Chase downstairs and says he'll help them. And basically goes up and gets the gun that has no bullets. But this is what gets me with the gun, right? It's got the gun in the safe, but it's got the bullets in the drawers in the bedroom. Why isn't there at least some bullets in the safe with the gun? Not loaded, but in the thing, because surely you'd put some bullets in the safe with the gun. Why would you put a gun in there and put... I mean, even if you did have some in the drawer, you'd still have some in the safe, surely. So, he grabs the gun, goes downstairs, helps Victoria Chase get free, basically. And she says that her daughter, Hannah, is still upstairs somewhere. So he goes looking for her and he can't find her. So he decides to help Victoria out. And he says, whatever you do, keep your eyes on me. We'll save your husband after we've got you out. Right? So he says, keep your back on me. Keep your eyes on my back. So she does, and as they're going through, she sees guts and intestines and all this other stuff on the floor. And she runs up the stairs like, ah! And there he is, the collector. Right in the stomach. Then later on he finishes her off. But the problem with the movie, one of the biggest problems I had with this movie was the fact that when Arkin and him do... Actually, I'll wait till later to say this. So basically, Arkin eventually gets out of the building. The older sister, Jill, played by Madeline Zima, comes back with her boyfriend. And you see the collector kind of sit down on the floor, watching them kind of getting it on. He's going like this. And you're like, wow, this guy's a pervert. Alright? He's not just sick, but he's twisted too. So, basically, Jill and her boyfriend, they're making out. He undoes her bra, and you're seeing her breasts, and all this stuff. And all of a sudden, they see him. She sees him in the corner of her eye. And Arkin's under one of the tables by the bear traps, watching. And they go, who the hell are you? Oh no! And the boyfriend's death scene is probably one of the coolest scenes because he gets a knife in his hand, then he moves back and gets his fingers chopped off, then he goes back into the bear trap and he catches him in the foot and he goes backwards like this, like that, and it gets his arms and his shoulders and his head. And it's probably one of the coolest death scenes in the film. But the film does remind you a lot of Saw, not in the fact that it's a sadistic killer, but the fact that there's so many traps around the home. It's like, let's change it up. Let's make this more like, I don't know, let's make it like Saw, but let's make it where the traps are there and they walk into it, or they end up in it. As in Saw, normally they're kind of in the traps, or they have to do something to do with the traps or something. Do you know what I mean? So it was good in that aspect. I like the traps around the house, but like I said earlier, a lot of people didn't like it because the believability that the guy could set all that up in a couple of hours was highly unlikely. So you've also got the time limit, the time frame that Arkin has to get the gem or jewel or whatever you want to call it, the rock, from to the bad shark man, the bad loan shark. Otherwise his family's... So apparently. So where was I? So you see him going around and he goes helping people. And then basically Jill Chase, played by Madeline Zimmer, I keep saying, but Jill, she grabs hold of a pair of scissors and it throws her across the room and she gets impaled on the wall, and home movies of the same girl who's impaled are being played on the projector. You know, thinking, how the hell did he know she was going to die up there? How the hell did he know? This guy's not just a sadistic, masked, weird killer. He's also a clairvoyant. He's also got psychic abilities. So, basically, Arkin escapes. He gets out the window. Bye-bye, yeah. And we're all sitting there going, yay, you're out. Congratulations. Then he turns around and sees the little girl, Hannah, in the window, and he decides to go back. Now, one of the best scenes in this movie, before he gets out the window, is he jumps in this room and it's full of acid on the floor. And he climbs on, well, acidy stuff, like acid liquid. And his shoes get stuck. So he takes his shoes off and he jumps on the bed. Well, there's a cat in the acid, and it's like this. Wow, wow, wow. And Arkin's like, shut up, shut up. So he pulls it up, rips half its skin out, right, from beneath it, throws it towards the window. It hits the line on the window thing falls down, cuts the cat in half, and the cat just falls on the floor. That was one of the greatest scenes I loved in this movie. It just made the film so great. You know what I mean? And I've got cats, I love cats, but I thought that was a cool scene. And then basically the collector comes in and he hides under the pillars, and you're like, okay. There's another scene where it sounds similar to that, where he grabs hold of Hannah and he says to her, "You push the TV down when I push the thing down, so they can electrocute the collector." So they do it as he opens the door, and instead of him getting electrocuted, he throws the dead body. No, not dead body. He throws one of the guys out the box, I think. And he basically goes, and they're like, "Oh no!" And he jumps onto the body. He starts finding his knives at Arkin, and he keeps missing. Now, this is the point where, to be honest, the film starts to go downhill a bit. Because when it was cat and mouse, it was actually quite clever. Because you didn't know if they were going to find each other or not. But the fact that he knows he's in the home, he just chased him with shotguns and a dog, and it just pulls the movie down. I think the first half's the best half. It's getting the tension's rising. It's getting quite scary. It's a very dark, gritty film at the beginning. Very dark and gritty. You're like, oh no. You're like, what's going to happen? Is his family going to be all right? Oh no, what's this guy's problem? Now, you never really find out anything about the collector other than they work for the extermination company and they've got a dress and they're going to find him later on in the end of the film. So, Arkin and him keep fighting and he keeps saving the girl and the girl gets out with him. And there's this great scene with a dog where the dog chases the girl and he pulls the girl up and the dog runs up the stairs and Arkin sets the bin on fire and shoves it in the dog's face. And then throws it at the collector, the dead dog on fire. That was a great scene. But another scene that got me was this one. Now, early on in the movie, there was a chandelier with knives sticking out. They dropped. They ended up back up there. He goes to shoot Arkin and he hits a mirror. Now, how you can think that somebody in a mirror is a real person when the reflection's just flat? It's beyond me. But, well, Arkin lets it go on him, and it catches him like this, and gets him on the chest. But he just pushes it aside, like voila, basically. He's in pain, but he's moving it aside. So Arkin and Hannah are running through, like, the grass and everything, trying to escape. And he sees the police cars, and he goes in front of it, goes like this, and the police car runs him over. And at that point, he turns and looks at the girl, and he thinks the collector's behind her with a knife like this, and it turns out to be a policeman. But you're like, So then he's in the ambulance, and they're driving along, and he goes, "What time is it?" And he goes, "Just before 12." And he goes, "I made it." And he says, "Can you call my wife?" And that's where a big truck hits into the ambulance. The collector pulls him out, shoves him in a box. The end. And you sit there going, there's going to be a sequel to this movie. You just think there's a sequel coming. And you know what? There was. It was called The Collection. So, with the same cover. Almost. Like that. Same cover almost. And the first thing in this film, like I said, at the beginning it's very gritty. It's very dark. And at the end it gets very dark as well. But there's that part in the middle to end, late middle to end, where it just goes downhill a bit. There's plenty of gore and violence in this and torture. If you like that stuff, like Saw, you're gonna love this movie. I mean, I love the Saw movies. I think they've gone down a hell of a lot, but I still like them and I still watch them because I'm a fan. But the torture was great and the killings were great, but there was so much blood in this movie, it was unbelievable. But yeah, it was an alright film. Like I said, when it was the cat and mouse part, it was really interesting. Like, Arkin would shut a door, and on the other side, you'd see the collector. And then Arkin would go through the other door, and the collector would come through that door. And it was really clever and really well done. I liked the traps. I thought the traps were good, even though they were a bit over the top. Like, every room was covered in them. And you're sitting there going, there's no way he could have done this in this time frame. But like I said, just don't take it as real life, because horror movies not meant to be taken as real life situations, except for a certain few. So, it's an alright movie. It's fairly decent. It's got some good acting in it. Josh Stewart as Arkin's great because he's in there trying to help his family by getting the gem, or rock, whatever you want to call it. And then he ends up stuck in this situation. Do I rob these people? Do I help them and rob them? Do I just leave? Do I go and save the daughter, Hannah? And he does the right thing by going back. But the whole movie, you're sitting there going, why doesn't he just not go back? You're like, I can understand he wants to go back because he wants to save the daughter because he's got his own kid. But you're sitting there going, why would you go back when you know how sick that bloke is? I honestly think I'd have just called the police, gone to the police instead of going back. And why doesn't he go to his car or something instead of running down the street? That's what I want to know. Bloody chair. I want to. I want to. I just wondered that. So I'm sitting there and I'm going. It's like there's a bit where he pulls the collector's mask off and he goes and gets knocked out, and you're like, why can't we see what's going to happen? Maybe because it's going to happen in the next movie or another movie. So it was alright, but I didn't really feel like there was any real character development on the family per se. I think it was mostly on Arkin. Like, is he a good person who's out of his luck doing bad things to get money? Possibly, and he looked like it. But yeah, at the end when Arkin ends up in the box and the collector's got him and he shuts the door, you're like, what's he going to do with him? Because a bloke in a red box says to him that he collects people. And when he kills people, he always kills all of them except one, the one he's going to collect. And you're sitting there going, but what's this about? Why would he put the... And you think to yourself, why would he make the time to put the guy in the box that he kidnapped at the beginning of the movie into this other person's house? You just sit there going, yeah. So, on a final note, The Collector's not a bad film. In my view, it's a lot like Saw in the trap section, except for the traps are, more like you fall into them, you get hit with them by surprise. And I do like the character, the Collector. I think he's very dark, and you don't get to know really anything about him, and that's a good thing, I think, in this kind of movie. Because you don't need to know anything about him. He's a maniac, he's a killer, Arkin, I thought, was a great character because he looks very conflicted throughout the whole film. And the girl who played Hannah Chase, Carly Scott Klein, she was alright. She was your typical young girl in a movie, really good, but really not that great because, But yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a great film. I thought it could have been a lot better. I felt like the second half kind of fell apart a little bit and then brought itself a little bit back up again right at the end. And I thought the whole thing about his family possibly being killed if he didn't make it was a little bit scary. Because I think anyone who would have that pressure on them would be terrified of messing up because your family would be dead, wouldn't they? So yeah, it's a good film. It's not the best. It's not that bad. It's alright. I'm going to give it a 3.5 because it's fairly decent. It works really well. And it's a fun movie. If you sit down in the dark and you want to see some gore, torture, horror, this is the film for you. It's a lot of fun. But like I said, the second half falls apart in my view. So thanks guys for watching, and remember, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe and comment below and let me know what you think of The Collector if you've seen it. So as always guys, thanks for watching, take care and have a lovely day.